Okay. Hello, everyone. Um, I am thankful and grateful for Rabbi Katz to invite me to this moment, and my pastor Marcia Stanley, who I love dearly. Thank you very much. This is a time. This is a moment um, for for us all, really, an inflection point, I like to call it. It's like the realest thing that I've ever been a part of in my life. There are people, George Floyd just died. It took him 8 minutes and 46 seconds as the Missouri um, police officer put his knee on his neck. We saw it in real time, which was very disturbing. We saw it, and when I was looking at it, I looked at it maybe about 12 times, um, if not more, because I just couldn't believe the fact that like this is literally happening like right now, and like nobody did anything, and the officer just looked at the camera and just looked at it and didn't move. He didn't budge. He didn't do anything. All he did was kill an innocent man and had no remorse for it. That was painful. That was hurtful, and I think this country, this world, really felt that pain. Like that was like a real moment for all of us, which is why I kind of respect Rabbi Katz for doing something like this and inviting me to a place like this, because it's all about, I guess, education, because it's hard to be empathetic about something when you really don't understand it. And so for me, my uh, kind of clash with this whole thing came at an early age when I didn't really understand it. I was about 16 years old when I got arrested, and when I got arrested, I didn't really know what was going on. I never had any really encounters with the law or anything, and I was in school, and they chose me and put me in a cop car in Queens. And I, from that moment, 5 years later, I didn't see my family for 5 years. I didn't even know that I was about to go through this ordeal. I had no idea. I didn't commit a crime. It's not like the funny thing was I was into, not bad things, but maybe some unlawful things. But at that moment, I was in school. And at that particular moment, I was chosen out of a pack of people. And when I remember to this day that he put me in a car, and I was handcuffed, and he was hitting me. He would start beating me. He's hitting me in my stomach, hitting me in my face. So by the time I got to the precinct, I'm all beaten up, battered, and I can't really move around because my wrist hurt, and it just was a messed up time. And I still don't understand it. I never got no call to my moms, my parents. Nobody knows where I'm at. And basically, the charge was robbery. And the guy that the boy actually that they said that I robbed was maybe 50 feet in front of me, talking to the police, laughing and giggling and just having a good time while I'm in this pen, just looking at this play out, not really still not understanding what's going on. I don't really know what's happening. I'm just, just in this pen, accused of robbing someone that I've never met, never seen, or anything. It was painful, and from that point, 5 years later, I was about 16 years old at the time, and so 5 years later, I still ain't quite understand it, but I'm let go, and I'm let go I'm actually released from prison after going upstate and serving a year on Rikers Island, and then serving 4 years in a state maximum penitentiary prison for robbery in the second degree, and they put drugs on me. So they said that I also had an illegal substance on my person. And in 2.5 years in that process, I was supposed to I actually did go to the parole board to go and, get let out. To see if I was good enough to get let out. And they told me no. And they kept me in prison around, people that don't necessarily believe in God or don't really have no type of relationship with anything spiritual. We're talking about people that are murderers and killers and people that, do awful things to people. I'm not one of those people, but I was herded into that place where we basically all kind of look the same, and we all, it doesn't matter what we did, we just did. So then I get out of that and get released into a world still not fully understanding what's going on. I still, at 22 years old, 21 years old, I still don't necessarily understand that this is systemic racism. I still don't understand that this is injustice. I don't get it yet. I'm just happy to be out of prison. And because my family structure is really not as sound as I would want it to be, I really had nobody to kind of told me. Like, nobody was talking to me. Nobody was giving me any pointers. Nobody was, yo, Anthony, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. That didn't exist in my world. So I was just herded out into an environment. And over time, and God's grace and blessings and protection, you get to a point of understanding. You understand about systemic opportunities and inequalities when it comes to justice, and when it comes to going for a job, and your white counterpart have the same career experience that you have, but they get the job. You go through issues in life, and you kind of end up understanding that, oh, wait a minute, it's not because I was inexperienced, or it's not because I wasn't qualified. It's simply because of the color of my skin. And it sounds crazy, when you think about it, because sometimes people just, it's just skin, it's whatever. But when you have to deal with the problem, when you personally have to deal with the problem, it goes deep because it stifles you. And then it's a socio-economical issue with that. So there's no opportunities in my neighborhood. They're not putting no money in my neighborhood. They're not, concerned with any type of health issues, or concerned with any type of issues that, some of the grittier neighborhoods in New York City are enduring. They're not concerned with that. So when something like me getting arrested happens, nobody's looking at that like, oh, that's messed up. That's the guy that got arrested. He didn't do anything. Nobody's really looking at that. They're just like, okay, another Black person just got arrested. So what? It makes their numbers go up. And now we understand that, for every person that they put in jail, it's 100,000, 200,000 to the state. We're money. We're not people. Now we understand that it's not about, how we look. That's why you can sick dogs on us in the 60s, and you can, spray, you can throw water from a water hose that you use to turn on a fire. You can put that on human beings because they don't really look at us as human beings. And I think the situation is so deep in our country. I mean, we're talking about over 400 years. We're talking about when they came and got, the first African American from Africa, and they brought them over there and put them in the South in 1614. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about that. We're talking about when now it's called the police, but it was called policing, and they started that by catching slaves.
Yes.
So now we understand that there's a different type of spin going on. It's not just, one person dying or another person dying, but it's deeply rooted. And because, Brown versus education happened, and the Jim Crow laws and things of that nature started being abolished, and segregation started kind of wearing down. you know, they had to change it up. They couldn't just keep hanging black people on the trees. They had to do something different. And, you know, then you have, you know, you fast forward to, you know, Nixon, and you fast forward to Ronald Reagan doing, you know, introducing the don't stop, don't frisk, or stop and frisk action across the country. And when now we understand that how many of those people were black men that got arrested because of that. The statistics are high. I mean, I don't got them in front of me, but you can just Google the fact that it was a travesty to the black man and the black family and to the psychology of just the black people. It was a travesty because we were just getting arrested for no reason. It wasn't because we did something wrong. It was literally for no reason in some cases. I'm not saying all those cases, but in a lot of cases. So in conclusion, I'm reading a book now by Rabbi Abramson. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but the name of the book is called As Good as Anybody. And it's written by a guy named Richard Michelson. And in that book, he says the very future of this nation depends on how we respond to Martin Luther King Jr. Everybody's talking about Martin Luther King Jr. Because what he was saying was so critical at the moment. And, you know, I feel like that is where we're at right now. We're at a deep inflection point. So thank you guys for having me, and, you know, hope I said something to stir someone.
For sure you did, Anthony.